Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. January 15th, basketball. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody out there. NBA normally puts on a huge slate of games for MLK Day. And no exception with what's going on today. There's a few college basketball games. Nothing we're on today, so we're just going to go with the NBA slate because we've got a ton of action in here and probably more to come as a lot of these injury updates come out. So a lot of stuff going on here, so we'll get right to it and get you rolling here. So the first game out by the shoot, Rockets at the Sixers. 76ers, 7.5, 8.5 point favorite, depending on where you're looking. Total around 228 on that one. Rockets on this road trip have not been stellar by any stretch. 76ers have been kind of a mess with Embiid not playing. But kind of how it's been going back and forth here. So on this game here, with just some player props is what we're going to go with here. We think Embiid's going to play. Not quite sure yet, but we think he's going to play. So Sengun under 22.5 points, under 35.5 par, and over 2.5 turnovers. Maxey over 26.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and Embiid over 1.5 blocks. Like I said, hopefully he's going to play here, but still don't know quite sure. So Sengun under 22.5 points, under 35.5 par, over 2.5 turnovers. Embiid over 1.5 blocks. Maxey over 26.5 points and over 2.5 threes. Maxey's point total without Embiid's been around 32-ish. So knocking it back 6 points for the big fella showing up. Not sure if Embiid's going to play tons of minutes or whatever, if they're going to kind of ease him back in there. But, that's why we're sticking with player props today. Normally, if I knew Embiid, let's say this was his second game back, we'd be all over the 76ers on this one. Next game up, Pelicans at the Mavs. Pelicans have a lot of dudes that are game time decision today. Going against the Mavs. Looks like, Luka's going to be out again today. And Kyrie Irving's actually been playing really well. Him and Tim Hardaway, without Luka on the floor, have really seemed to put something together. Mavs, 4.5 point home dog, 236.5 total. With an early game and being on a Monday, I just think kind of an odd situation here for the Pelicans. They have been hot. They did have one disappointment in Denver. We think they're going to go to Dallas, and Dallas is a really good home team, so getting points with Dallas at home is never bad, even with Luka out of the lineup. So we are going to take Mavs plus 1.5 first quarter, plus 2.5 first half, plus 4.5 for the game. Kyrie Irving over 32.5 points. Tim Hardaway over 22.5 points. And then Zion over 2.5 turnovers. Still a question mark on whether he's going to play. Mavs over the 116.5 team total. The three totals were really high for Kyrie and Tim Hardaway, and understandably so. In order for us to win, I think they're probably going to need to make those, but not a lot of value there left on the bone, so to speak. So Mavs plus 1.5 first quarter, plus 2.5 first half, plus 4.5 for the game. Kyrie Irving over 32.5 points. Tim Hardaway over 22.5 points. Zion over 2.5 turnovers, and the Mavs over the 116.5 team total in that matchup. Next game up, Magic at the Knicks. The Magic have just, it's been ugly. But anyway, Knicks 6.5 point favorite, home favorite, 220.5. They normally play really well in these games that are afternoon games. Whether normally they get that Sunday morning or early afternoon game. They tend to play really well in those. Normally, but the Magic, Franz Wagner, ever since he went out, they have just hit the injury bug like crazy. Banchero's trying to keep this team on his shoulders. It's a tough task, and it's a tough task to go to Madison Square Garden and get a win. But only a couple player props that were on this one because we're not sure if Jalen Brunson's going to play. He's game time decision, as a lot of people are today. But we do like Julius Randle under 41.5 par. Even if that's a big number. That means he's basically got to score 32 points, I think, to get home. Julius Randle over 3.5 turnovers. The one thing the Magic can still do is still turn you over. They do create a lot of turnovers. So Randle over 41.5 par, over 3.5 turnovers. Next game up on the board is going to be the Pistons at the Wizards, what everybody wants to watch, right? Wizards 5.5-point home favorite. Don't say that very often. 240.5 total in this one. One of those games, again, we're just got a couple player props in this particular matchup. Tyus Jones over 13.5 points and over 1.5 threes. Perimeter defense not so good for Detroit, so we think Tyus can make it there. Their interior defense not bad with Jalen Duran stuff on the inside, but we think Tyus Jones to have a couple, 15-point, 2 3-pointer day should be pretty easy, I think. Tyus Jones over 13.5 points and over 1.5 threes. Next game we are heavily invested in. That's going to be the Spurs at the Hawks. They've played one close game so far. Spurs are getting 8.5 on the road in Atlanta. Atlanta's been, if you can read Atlanta, you are might be the best handicapper out there because they have been sporadic at best. You don't know what you're going to get between Trae Young and DeJounte Murray on a night. It's like they take, like, hey, tonight's your night. I'm going to, go to Magic City or whatever the hell they're going to do on there. But we like the Spurs today quite a bit. We hope to see, obviously, we're going to be heavily invested in Wembanyama as well. So we will take the Spurs +2 first quarter, +4.5 first half, +8.5 for the game. Wemby over 20.5 points, over 1.5 threes, and he's getting plus money now on 3-pointers. Wemby over 33.5 par, over 2.5 blocks, and over 118.5 team total. I don't know if the Spurs could have shot any worse the other night. So we think it may be a little bit of reversal coming back. Maybe they get a little bit better shooting than what they've had. I mean, Vassell went like 1 for 12 or 1 for 14, or it was something stupid. It was just nuts. So we expect them to make a comeback tonight. Wembanyama had a really good game against the Hawks the last time. We expect the same out of him this time. And he's even better, obviously, a month, 2, 3 months later as he gains more experience. So Spurs +2 first quarter, +4.5 first half, +8.5 for the game. Wemby over 20.5 points, over 1.5 threes, over 33.5 par, points, assists, rebounds combined, over 2.5 blocks. And the Spurs, we think, are going to score quite a bit, 118.5 team total in that game. Next game up, we've got the Warriors at the Grizzlies. Warriors somewhere between 7.5, 8-point favorite, 227 total. Draymond Green's supposed to be back today. And also Desmond Bane out. Jarrett Jackson, game time decision. Obviously no John Morant as he's out for the season. We think with Draymond coming back, Draymond puts on a show, shows a ton of energy. The Warriors, to be really honest, have not had a ton of energy on their side since Draymond's been gone out for the suspension. Trust me, Draymond's one of those players, he's kind of like Pat Beverly, just pisses other teams off. But what Draymond does really well is get ball movement going back into that offense. Also, high energy rebounds, scores a few points here and there. But he is really good at providing that energy and that defensive spark, which creates turnovers, which creates easy baskets, which creates high energy. So we love the Warriors today. Just think, especially with all those injuries that the Grizzlies are facing as well, it's time for basically the Grizzlies to go run away and hide and try to get that first pick overall for next year, I guess. So Warriors -2.5 first quarter, -4.5 first half, -7.5 for the game. Grizzlies under 108.5 team total, as we don't expect them to score much. Draymond Green over 19.5 par, points, assists, rebounds combined. And we're also going to take him over 11.5 raw, which is rebounds plus assists combined. So one more time in this Warriors and Grizzlies game. Warriors -2.5 first quarter, -4.5 first half, -7.5 for the game. Draymond Green over 19.5 par, and then Draymond Green over 11.5 rebounds plus assists combined, and then also Grizzlies under the 108.5 team total, which is plus money on that one as well, so holding them down there. Next game up on the slate, Bulls at the Cavs. Cavs currently around 4-point favorite, 222 total. The Cavs been kind of, I wouldn't say inconsistent. They definitely miss Garland, I think. He definitely makes that offense kind of run a little bit better. A lot more ball movement, I think, when Garland's out there. A lot more open three shooters. Not to say Mitchell just takes a ton of shots, especially when Garland's not there. Mitchell gets moved to more of a shooting guard type role when Garland's there. So the offense has kind of been a little discombobulated. But one shining light out of all of this is Jarrett Allen with Evan Mobley gone as well. Jarrett Allen's really shown some things this season as well. So we do like some props in this particular matchup. We're going Jarrett Allen. We'll be heavy on him today. Over 17.5 points, over 33.5 par, over 12.5 rebounds, and over 1.5 blocks. And then Vucevic on the Bulls side, over 1.5 turnovers, as the Cavs still do create quite a bit of turnovers defensively. And then the Cavs over the 113.5 team total. So one more time in this Cavs-Bulls game, Jarrett Allen over 17.5 points, over 33.5 par, over 12.5 rebounds, over 1.5 blocks. Vucevic over 1.5 turnovers, and then the Cavs over the 113.5 team total. Next game up is going to be Celtics at the Raptors. Celtics right now right around 6.5 point favorite, 241 total in this particular matchup. The Celtics, if we're rating this game, like if we truly handicap this game, both teams coming off some rest, this should be 10.5 to 11. The Celtics have been a little wish-wash here and there. They either blow you out or they've been getting blown out. They haven't played a ton of close games. Normally, if they put the hammer down, you're going to get beat by 20 on most teams. I mean, unless it's the upper echelon teams that can hang with them on that one there. But I just think the Celtics are quite a bit better at putting the ball through the hoop more than anything else. Now, Jaylen Brown is a game-time decision. We think Jaylen's going to play from every indication out there on that. But we are heavy on the Celtics. So Celtics -2 first quarter, -4 first half, -6.5 for the game. Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points and over 2.5 threes, over 34.5 par. Scotty Barnes, though, we think for the Raptors, he's still going to get his over 18.5 points and over 1.5 threes. Jason Tatum over 2.5 turnovers, as he does turn the ball over a lot against Toronto. And then the Celtics over 124.5 team total. 130 to 110, anybody? Kind of what it smells like to me on this particular matchup. So I just think the Celtics they've got tons of firepower. The key is just when the ball moves for them, they are unstoppable. The problem is when they get into that one-on-one, and everybody stands around and watches Tatum try to do a step back or Jaylen Brown do the same. If you really watch this offense, if Tatum would default more to Brown, Tatum gets more wide open shots. Brown can drive the lane, I think, a little bit better and get around most of these guys. Tatum can definitely go over everybody and get that shot off. But I'm telling you, Brown is kind of in playoff time, it might be more Tatum, I think, Tatum's going to definitely be there a little bit more. But during the regular season, Jaylen Brown he's hard to defend. And he can make a lot of things go. Same thing with Drew Holiday. They just got to keep that ball moving. When they do, that team is lights out. Like, they can put up a 45-point quarter without blinking. So on the Celtics. But it's pretty impressive to see when that ball moves, to see exactly what they can do. But Celtics -2 first quarter, -4 first half, -6.5 for the game. Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 34.5 par. Tatum over 2.5 turnovers, and then we expect Scotty Barnes to get his over 18.5 points and over 1.5 3-pointers. Next game up, going to be the Heat going to the Nets. Heat coming off a back-to-back. Nets rested here. Don't know who's going to play and not play for the Heat. It's kind of all over the board. I don't know if they're going to be sitting guys in this game for rest purposes, but I know Butler's out. Tyler Hero could be out. Bam Adebayo didn't even have any props available on this one. So we're going to take a few player props in this particular game. Make sure you do check out the Google Sheets at the end of the episode. We might update this as it comes along as we get more information on who's going to play. But Mikal Bridges has been playing extremely well as of late, over 22.5 points, over 31.5 par. And then Cam Johnson finally missed his over 2.5 threes the other night. But we'll go back to the well. When that team's firing, Cam's standing at the three-point line, they're getting him open shots. Mikal Bridges is a big reason for that. Mikal can drive the lane, do that. Spencer Dinwiddie can do the same. So we'll go back to the Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes. But Mikal Bridges over 22.5 points, over 31.5 par, and like I mentioned, Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes. Now, one of the hottest teams in the league here lately is the Jazz at home against the Pacers. They're a 7-point favorite about everywhere, 245 total. The Jazz, amazingly enough, beat the Lakers the other night when they were a 1-point home dog. Beat them, I think, by like 7 or 8. on that one. But they have been playing really well. It's been surprising to me. I did not see it. I mean, I like Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen, but, name some other players on the team, and you probably struggle, even for people that watch the NBA fully. Markkanen is normally like, I don't know how to say this, like a half a quarter away from being a superstar almost every game. I mean, he can put 25 up pretty easily, I think, on most nights. The question is, can he get to 30, 35? That's kind of the next evolution for Markkanen. He's a hell of a shot from everywhere on the floor. He's got mid-range, three-point, and at the rim. He can score all three levels. Just needs to, I don't know if it's not necessarily shooting, and he can't really, it's hard to really get faster, but just being aggressive. And if Markkanen's aggressive, that Jazz team even cooks even more. But they do move the ball around, which is kind of a big deal because a lot of teams can't defend that. As most teams probably can't. So when you can move the ball, and the ball will find the wide open shot the way the NBA defense is today. So the Pacers coming off that Nuggets loss, where they kept it close, I was shocked. I mean, with Halliburton gone, they've put up a fight. I think everybody that's kind of seems like when they're down and they go to Salt Lake, they tend to get their rear end kicked in. And like I said, the Jazz have been hot. So we're going to ride with the Jazz again today as we did the other night. All right, so we're going to take the Jazz minus 2.5 first quarter, minus 4.5 first half, minus 7 for the game. Markkanen over 25.5 points, over 3.5 threes, which is pretty big plus money. Markkanen over 36.5 par. We're going to go back to the Miles Turner under 26.5 par bet, as that's been cashed at an alarming rate since Halliburton's been out. You can definitely Turner relies on Halliburton to get him the ball in prime areas for him to score. And then his rebounding's been way off too. And then Jazz over the 127.5 team total, which is also plus money at 127.5. So one more time in this Jazz Pacers game. Jazz minus 2.5 first quarter, minus 4.5 first half, minus 7 for the game. Markkanen over 25.5 points, over 3.5 threes, over 36.5 par. Miles Turner under 26.5 par, and the Jazz over the 127.5 team total. Last game of the night, Thunder Lakers. Not a lot of player props on this one, so make sure you do check back out, as we are normally heavily invested in Thunder games, either going fading or following. One of our favorite teams to watch so far this season, whether they're playing like shit, playing great, or in between. The Lakers have just been in an absolute tailspin since the in-season tournament championship. So seeing if they can get it together. We don't think so tonight. SGA looks like it was game time decision, but for some reason there's not any Chet Holmgren props, but there was SGA props. So like I said, make sure you do check out the Google Sheets, which we'll go through in a couple minutes. Thunder money line first quarter, first half, and game for us though. I think SGA is going to have one of those. Is going to have a big night tonight, possibly pop for 40 plus. So we like SGA over 32.5 points, over 45.5 par. And then we like Anthony Davis over 2.5 turnovers and LeBron over 3.5 turnovers. Once we get a few more props in this game, expect to see some Chet Holmgren in there somewhere. I was interested to see what's going to happen with Davis and Holmgren in this particular matchup, see how they kind of match up against each other. But so what we got so far, Thunder money line first quarter, first half, and game. SGA over 32.5 points, over 45.5 par. And then Anthony Davis over 2.5 turnovers and LeBron over 2.5 turnovers. So full slate today. It is a busy day in the NBA, so make sure you do refer back to the Google Sheets, as we just went through a shit ton of bets. I want to make sure you get all of those. So, and then basically at the end of every episode we do, Google Sheets will be in the comments section. There'll be a link there. It's docs.google.spreadsheet and a bunch of other stuff behind it. It's a ledger of all of our bets, what juice we got those at, how many units, and what book we placed those at. So you can follow us along all season long. We're like 2,800 units up so far for the season. We've had a monster season in the NBA. If you're also following football today, there's a couple games. You can check out the football plays that we got as well. So make sure you check those out when you get some time. And as always, if you can subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, makes life really simple. Once you hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on for YouTube, you get a notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped some new bets. Match them up with your bets and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window so we can go make some money. Like I said earlier today, happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody out there. I do appreciate everybody's support, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.